English accents are vast. There's so many different types of English accents. And if you're someone living in Japan trying to study English, which many people are, hey, there's different types of English that you could be learning. Now, I feel like the majority of the accents that people study are American accents, but hey, maybe you like the Beatles so much, you want to have that nice British accent. And maybe you want to move to Australia, so you want to go down under. So, Adam, in Canada, because I feel like a lot of people all know about British accents, American accents. Is there a Canadian accent?
There are multiple Canadian accents, and
Ooh.
I'm part of the least accented Canadian accented people.
Okay. It's not a strong, heavy
it's not a strong
accent, so you can't pick it up. Yeah.
You can if you're Canadian, of course, and if you're American, of course.
Yeah.
But if you're like from neither of those places, maybe even British, you might be able to pick it up.
Okay.
Or the UK.
So let's hear what are some of the key points to a Canadian accent?
I think the major one is different ways of saying words, and the most famous one is the word about. You might hear a boat. Like, what are you talking about? A boat. And
right.
That's
there's a small
like,
U sound.
Like it sounds like I'm saying a boat, like a boat that you race on the water. You float on the water. But that oat sound is something that I've been able to pick up when I watch movies or TV shows, and I'm like, is that person Canadian?
Yeah.
And then I check, Wikipedia or Google, and it turns out they are Canadian. So
Canadian.
That's how I've been able to figure out who's Canadian on TV.
Yes.
And that's how you can too. A boat.
Yeah. And some of them are good at hiding it. Some of them can come out just a little bit. But yeah, compared to the American, my accent from the Northeast is about. What are you talking about?
About. And then there's sometimes that I hear the accent and people are kind of asking questions. They'll speak like, hey, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? It feels like, what are you doing today? Something like a question.
Oh, okay. So the intonation,
sounds like a question.
Oh.
But not always. It's just like more up at the end rather than down.
You know what? I've heard about this with one of my favorite movies, Wayne's World. So Mike Myers is Canadian. I remember him talking about when he was trying to create this Wayne character that he thought he just pushed in a lot of Canadian sound where everything was raising at the end of the words. Okay, so it is a Canadian thing.
It is. I think so. And it's like a lot of other things, like having sarcasm is a big one in the way of talking.
Yeah.
Or just like saying a lot. Yes. Not a lot, but it's like it's one of the things that just happens naturally. Whereas in America, they'd say less a and more huh. Like, it's good, huh? That would be an American kind of thing.
Okay.
Whereas in Canadian, we would say it's good, eh?
Yeah.
Nice weather, eh? Rather in America, nice weather, huh?
So I would put it to like this show, right? I guess.
Yeah, the shows
could be a replacement for that a sound.
A and a huh, but not always. It's
example? Because that's what I always thought it was.
It's hard to give an example of not this show. Sometimes it could be a agreement. The show it could be just the period at the end.
Right. Okay.
Well, so I went to the store. There it is. I went to the store, and this guy was at the counter, Like, that's not a dish show.
That's not a dish show. We're going into deep waters with
Canadian,
Okay, but that's that one not for another video. But for accents, I think that's a good one.
Yeah. And the funny thing about the Canadian accent is I didn't know I had a Canadian accent or what the Canadian accent is or was until I came to Japan. And somebody told me, "You're so Canadian." I was like, "What are you talking about?"
It's like, well, yes, but what are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yeah. So he was saying like your accent. I was like, I don't have an accent. In denial, I guess. So
yeah.
That's the thing. Like, sounds like I felt like I was talking the exact same as my friend who's also American. But
all right.
It turns out that I had an accent. So
wow. Oh man. Okay, so there's
Yeah.
many different types of accents that we can hear. What are some like example, depending on what city you're in? I feel like this is a
Right.
big
Yeah.
thing. We know
Right.
that North America, Canada, America are really young countries if we're looking
Yes.
comparing to other countries around the world. So a lot of people have immigrated, have come to these countries. So you can have a lot of different accents. And I feel
Oh
like,
yeah. Yeah.
a stereotypical one that you find a lot maybe in New York, kind of next to my hometown. There's like a lot of Italian-ish
Okay.
accents.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, in the different communities, you go to Chinatown, there will be a lot of Chinese English
Chinese.
speaking accents that you hear and
Right.
stuff. So are there any common accents that you find in Canada?
We have the same Chinese. We have Indian,
Yeah.
Persian,
Yes.
Italian, Portuguese. Like everybody all over the globe is
Yeah.
here. That's the other interesting thing is that like a lot of people learning, and this is going to the learning side. People learning English, they mostly interact with kirei na eigo, Queen's English or American English, or sometimes Canadian
I guess it's
English, but
proper. Yeah.
proper,
Mhm.
proper English, right?
Yeah.
The English that is easy to understand. But when you arrive to Canada or United States, the amount of people, especially in the major areas, who don't have this kirei na eigo will make it difficult for you to understand English, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
All these years you've been studying, listening to, MJ and Adam
Perfect.
show,
Yeah.
listening, hearing our accents, which are, I
Right?
guess, whatever proper because we grew up there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who did not grow up in the U.S.
Yeah.
So therefore, they have this accent that is from their country, but
Right.
speaking in English.
Yeah. And people here who are living here, we engage with it, we interact with it on a daily basis. Like there are coworkers, there are classmates, there are the people who deliver mail, there are the people who work in the shops. Like we're
friends
so
and stuff.
used to it, friends, family. It's like it's so natural to hear English in a non-native tongue that it's just normal for us to, if we're not sure about something, to ask about it. Like what did you say? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Or just get by with listening to what they're saying and kind of try to understand. So
Right.
I guess I just want to say that as you're studying English, like don't worry so much about your accent, and also be prepared when you travel to a metropolitan place like Toronto or New York to be able to understand or ask questions about people when they're talking to you, so you don't have a miscommunication because there might be an accent.
Yes, and I feel like that's such a hard thing to do because there's not much stuff out there where it focuses on like, hey, listen to this accent of like a Russian person speaking English.
Right. Yeah.
And then there could be variations of how thick their accent is. Now,
True.
for me personally, my father is from Croatia and he has a very thick Croatian accent. So many times my friends would come over and they wouldn't be able to understand my dad's English. I'd have to be the translator. And for me, growing up with that hard accent of English, I feel like it's helped me be more, my ears are more conditioned to accented English.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
Like, of course, my parents are not from Canada. They're from the Caribbean, so they have a kind of Caribbean accent, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's still understandable, but they might use words that are not standard.
Okay.
Right? And they like speak with a kind of different style of intonation as well. So of course I'm conditioned to that.
Right.
And in my school, my friends, their parents were like the same as MJ's father. You know, like from Portugal, doesn't speak English at all, but he's trying and learning, from Italy, they have an Italian English accent. So as I'm growing up, I have that communication. My friends are Polish, they're from all over the place. So
yes.
Yeah. It's just like we get used to it. And there's so many ways of speaking English. And of course there's the kirei na eigo, but
Right.
don't focus on it.
That's not the only thing there is. Right. Or
it's
just
not the only English.
Like you were mentioning before, be prepared. So work on those. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't catch. What did you say?
What did you say? Yeah.
In that situation where you can't hear them, like if you're gonna say something or like spelling out something, example, when people are trying over the phone, maybe trying to spell out their last name, if it's something that sounds like not so traditional, like Mr. Smith or something, you'd have to say, okay, S as in Seattle. Yeah. But I feel like, it's the American English is a big one. And I feel like depending on what country we're looking at can be influenced. If we're looking at places like Hong Kong, they got a lot of influence from the British, from UK.
True. I want to even add that Canada and America too, because of our history with the British and with immigrants from like the now UK, that's where our accents came from.
Yeah.
Like, I think people on the East Coast of Canada, Newfoundland, Labrador, their lineage is like from Scotland and Ireland. So their kind of way of speaking is very different from the central Canada and further west Canada, which is a different area of people, maybe from England, like the historical people who moved over from those countries.
Yes.
That kind of intonation, the pronunciation of words in English is a little bit there. It's just a little bit.
Right.
Enough, right? Even in, the Southern America, not South America, but the southern states, like they have
Texas,
that
Louisiana
country slang, howdy partner. Or like, I'm pretty sure that came from somewhere in Britain or England or something.
Right.
Back in the day, they used to speak like that. So it just keeps going.
It must have been so interesting to see like the beginnings of these different accents. Because technically, we all came from the UK.
Basically, right?
Yeah, and then other countries after that, but from Europe,
Italy and
it all just mixed
together.
Wow. So what is proper English accent? We don't know. Let us know in the comments what you think about accents. Are you someone who favors American over British? Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more cool talks like this.
But that's it, eh? We'll see you on the next
step.